Hello, Charles. How are you?
I'm real good, Steve. Thanks for having me on your show.
My pleasure. Well, isn't this the ultimate irony of sorts?
Oh, I just think it's the most just desserts that I've ever seen in this town. You've got that wonderful story, and God bless Politico for uncovering it, because it's such a wonderful story, and there's so many people on Capitol Hill who are talking about it. They're all sweating about this about having to be enrolled in the very Obamacare that they created for the rest of us. It's good enough for us, but it's not good enough for them. And so they're all looking to bolt. And what I love about it is that, obviously it was the Democrats that really, pressed this Obamacare thing the most. The people who are going to be most affected by Obamacare are the poor, working poor, and non-working poor in America. And I just think it's so interesting, and it shows the hypocrisy of the left in this town. They think it is perfectly fine to herd all of these poor Americans into this atrocious system, but they wouldn't even think of joining it themselves.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, from the beginning, didn't they want to be left out of it? Didn't they want their plans to be untouched? So I'm a little confused as to why it's going to affect them. Did that not happen, that they wouldn't have to be under the same deal that we're all going to be under?
No, Charles Grassley, the Republican from Iowa, inserted an amendment that required that demanded that everyone in Congress would be forced into the same program that they were creating for the rest of Americans. And they've tried numerous times to undo it. I think they didn't really think that it was going to stick, but Grassley wrote it in a way that it did stick. And they have made some attempts to sort of wiggle out of it in the past couple of months, but they haven't been able to, because they don't want to put the amendment on the fix on the floor where they are voting, where they have to vote to exonerate themselves, to excuse themselves from this government health care system. And the end result is all these staffers, lawmakers as well, are looking around saying, "Wait a minute, I'm not rich. I can't afford to buy some system outside of Obamacare," and they're all going to be just pushed right into it. And it's interesting because my understanding from talking to Republicans on Capitol Hill, that behind the scenes, even Republicans are terrified of this. And Democrats are going to Republicans saying, "Look, you all can't turn this into a campaign issue. We've got to be able to find a solution to fix all of this." And of course, the Republicans, I mean, the good ones are just like, "Oh, are you kidding me?
Right.
This is your problem. No. You made this mess."
Right. I mean, the Democrats are probably saying, "Hey, let's slip this bill, this amendment into something, and not tell anybody, and go along with it, wink, wink." But you're right. I mean, I'm sure there might be some who are willing to do that, but if the Republicans ever do go along with that, they're out of their minds.
Yeah, I agree, and of course, which of course means Republicans will probably go along with it at some point. But the other thing, the unintended consequence of all this, and I'm dead serious about this. I think that President Obama deserves real credit from people like you and me who believe that, and most Americans who believe indeed the federal government needs to be cut back. The guy has finally found the holy grail for how you trim the federal government. Just make them all get onto Obamacare. Do you know what would happen to the post office if they actually made the post office go into Obamacare, or the NSA or the IRS? These federal bureaucrats would be flocking for the doors to get out, because the truth is, you and I, suckers out here who try to work and make a living and pay our taxes, we're providing the fanciest, the very Cadillac of health insurance programs for all these people. And then, and of course, this is still the land of pensions. Pensions have gone, the way of the dodo bird for every private company in America, but not the federal government. We're still, the federal government is the place to work.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I remember the studies not too long ago done by USA Today about the average salary in the private sector compared to government benefits, cost of health care, and you're absolutely right. It's take the government job.
Yeah, it's a funny thing that happens when you can tell the customer, the person who's paying for all of it, to go, jump in a lake. The funny thing happens is you get everything you want. You pay for nothing. They're very, the copays are very low, and it'd be great. I wish every employer could afford to take care of their employees that generously. But of course, when the actual market forces step in, they keep private employers from doing that, but not the old federal government.
And Charles, we're talking to Charles Hurt at the Washington Times here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Every single day there are stories. I mean, just in the past few days, $2,000 deductibles. And let me think. Walmart hiring only part-timers, so they won't have to, have more people to put on the healthcare roles. Doctor shortages again. I mean, every day it's businesses complaining, it's doctors complaining, the world's complaining. Yet we're told this is the best thing since sliced bread. It is going to be a disaster.
Yeah, Steve, and I think it's so much worse than we realize, and that anyone realizes, even those of us who are looking for it. I had a occasion to talk to a company back where I'm from, down in South Side of Virginia, that provide nurses for elderly care, and they told me that they were cutting their ranks back to 49, so they were laying off something like 30 people. And the reason was because they needed to get down to a level where they wouldn't be affected by this Obamacare tax business. And so I thought, well, my goodness, that's a really great story. And I told a reporter friend of mine, and he called him up. And of course, they're terrified they're terrified of the IRS. They're terrified of the Obama administration. They're terrified to say anything. And so you know what they immediately started doing? They immediately started lying and saying, oh, no, that's not true. Oh, well, he never said that. Oh, we're not doing any of that. We're hiring people. And you know what? A couple of months later, they had fired all those people, and they were. But it just goes to show how terrified people are to speak out. And so we're not going to even know about how bad this is until people are just walking the streets without jobs.
And without health care. It's going to be awful.
And without health care.
Let me ask you something. I'm watching on the monitor right now at the Clinton Global Initiative in Chicago, where so-called Republican Christie snubbed a conservative group where potential presidential candidates, including Governor Perry and others, are gathering in Washington. He snubbed them, and he's going to speak any minute now. He'll be hugging Bill Clinton, who's going to introduce him.
Bromance, I think we call it.
What's that?
I think we call that a bromance.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, whatever. Coming on the heels of what he did with the special election for senator, screwing the Republicans out of a Republican seat for 18 months and only giving it to them for a couple of months, and everything else he's done. Right now, he's sitting there with Clinton, and Clinton's interviewing him. I mean, what do you make of Christie? You know what came into my head in the previous segment, and I said it on the air? I'd never even considered it. I never even thought of it. Because, look, Christie can't run for president as a Republican. He will not win. He can't. There's no path as a independent, and he's not going to beat Hillary. So what about if he switches parties or he stays a Republican and Hillary picks him as VP?
Yeah, no, that's smart thinking because obviously he's ruined his chances as a Republican. But and it's too bad because at the time, a couple of years ago, what was so appealing about the guy was that he appeared to be so apolitical and he didn't care about politics. He just wanted to. He was just always going to do the right thing and tell people to buzz off and get into it with reporters, and he was so appealing.
Right.
But now we've discovered that he's the most political guy in the world, and he went through all those machinations with picking the Senate replacement, and he goes on all these big events with President Obama, trying to pump him up and trying to pull his problems out of the fire, and then we see this stuff with Bill Clinton. We realize, my goodness, this guy's really political, and all he wants to do, he wants everyone to love him. And my goodness, talk about the recipe for success that he just flushed down the toilet, because he was really appealing when he didn't care about any of that
Absolutely.
stuff.
Well, remember, if Hillary does pick him on the ticket, you heard it here first.
Yes.
All right. So let me ask you about the head of the FBI and the testimony he gave yesterday. When the congressman was asking him who's heading up the IRS investigation, I don't know how many agents. I don't know. He knew nothing. Charles, how is this possible?
I think it's. Let me give one note of defense, and that is there is so much scandal to sort of pay attention to right now. But that said, I cannot fathom how it is, and I hope that Republicans will get back to beating this drum and not let it get lost in the weeds of all the other scandals that are swirling around. Because I cannot think of anything that is more important than this scandal, and the reason is because it's so tied into all the others. It's all this Big Brother business, where and it all comes down to what are your politics. Who are you praying to? What's your political agenda? And that's where these people are. And I think personally, I think that because all of these scandals, the NSA thing, and the
don't tell me you're going to say that's why we're drawing the red line in Syria. Is that what you're going to say? Because that's what I've been saying that since yesterday when they announced it. Definitely wagging the dog. But what were you going to say? I'm sorry.
No. Actually, I had not thought about that, but you're exactly right. That, of course, is exactly what is going on there. Although the trip to Africa had been planned, had been in the works.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But in any event, but I do think that this is a very important issue. I think it's a very politically astute issue to talk about because it really does reveal this is the first presidency we've ever experienced where the guy he doesn't I don't know whether he doesn't understand the Constitution, but he certainly doesn't respect it and doesn't share much regard for it, and the result is you have his administration going after all these people and snooping through everybody's stuff. I think it's a really, really big deal. I think it's really important, and Republicans are absolutely foolish if they don't stick with it through all the way to the end.
Absolutely, on every scandal. But didn't he teach the Constitution supposedly?
He was a constitutional law professor, and you know what? He got his degree from Harvard. I thought those guys were supposed to be smart.
Well, maybe he is smart. Don't forget, he said that the Constitution was a flawed document. He said that before he was running for president. He's called, since he's been president, the Constitution an impediment to what he wants to do and would like to get done. So maybe he's dumb like a fox.
I got to tell you, Steve, I honestly think that he is so arrogant that he really has never submitted to understanding what all that stuff is about. I really do believe that because he has, whether it's remember early on in the administration where I think it was on settlements in Israel, and he wandered out there and opined that we just need to go back to the 67 line.
Oh yeah,
something like that. And what was so astonishing about that, and we're seeing it on immigration as well. He doesn't know anything about it. You quickly find out he's in so far over his head. It's not some nefarious thing. He's not trying to be a jerk about this stuff. He's just totally ignorant.
And you know what else he is, Charles? I believe in my heart, disinterested.
Totally disinterested. But isn't that part of the arrogance? Is that you're just totally disinterested? The world began in 2008,
yep,
as far as he is concerned. And so all the history of the fight, it's like, I'm larger than this, and I'm going to come up with a solution for this. We're going to go back to the lines of 67. And he made so many people on his own side so angry about that. And I really do believe it is sheer, as you pointed out, indifference and ignorance, and it's a very sad thing because this was a guy who had an extraordinary opportunity and has a pedigree that is unrivaled in terms of being at this level, in terms of academia and stuff like that, and he just completely wasted it all away by not caring and just thinking he's going to be so cool and everybody's going to like him and he's going to be so suave and he's going to hang out with Beyonce and solve world peace, and it's turned into an embarrassing disaster. And I just wonder at what point do the people on his side say, wow, he's really not cool. He's kind of dumb.
No. That could never happen because then that would be racist. One more, and this comes to mind based on what you said, and that, I'm reminded of a stat that I came across the other day that Obama only has attended through March of this year. He's attended 41% of his daily presidential briefings, the intelligence briefings. 41%. Now, that's not to say he doesn't get the information later, but I don't know what percentage Bush attended, but in a post-9/11 world, I don't care if Bush did better or worse. That's unacceptable.
Yeah, no, and it goes back to what you're saying. It's indifference. That's not as interesting as sitting in a room talking about talking about himself or talking about. He's just not interested. He doesn't have an inquisitive mind. These Democrats love to make fun of George Bush for not having an inquisitive mind, supposedly, which is bunk. But talk about a guy that doesn't have an inquisitive mind. This guy does not have an inquisitive mind at all.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Charles. Happy Father's Day to you, if it applies. And,
yes, indeed.
Good, and great talking to you. And we'll talk to you soon, sir.
Always enjoyed, Steve.
Thank you. Take